Sporting juggernaut Nike is in the hot seat from tennis fans once again after Aryna Sabalenka said that she would not be getting any star treatment at the Slams next year. I'll discuss whether Aryna is truly being snubbed by the swoosh brand and talk ATP Finals Day 5/6 action, which saw us finally crown a year-end world #1. Ciao, mi chiamo Christian Bassnight, and welcome to Christian's Court, where I cover tennis from all angles. If you have not yet already, make sure you subscribe and click the notification bell so you are notified whenever I post more ATP Finals related content. So for the 1000th time, it seems like Nike caught a bit of flack regarding how they treat WTA world #1 Aryna Sabalenka after Sabalenka revealed that she would not be receiving any custom fits next year recently. Giving y'all the backstory before I go into Sabalenka's quote, Aryna has been with Nike for essentially her entire pro career. She's been competing in their clothes since 2016, and up until winning her first major at the 2023 Australian Open, Sabalenka wore basically the same fits as the other Nike women. After she won that AO title, Nike started giving Aryna her own unique colorways of those standard Nike kits. Now, these aren't considered true custom Nike outfits though, because Sabalenka wore the same design as the other woman, but again, just wore them in a different color. And reigning Olympic singles gold medalist Jung Chin-Wen seemingly receives this treatment as well. Naomi Osaka is the only Nike women's player to receive true custom designs that no other woman can wear. This has drawn some criticism among fans, especially those of Sabalenka, because Naomi has not won a major for going on 5 years now. And Sabalenka has been Nike's highest ranked women's player for the past 4 years, really ever since Naomi had that Roland Garros press situation in 2021. It wasn't until this year's US Open where Sabalenka got her own custom design kit that no other woman wore in terms of the design, except for this one qualifier, but I'm not entirely sure Nike even signed off on letting her wear that, to be honest. But my friends at the Tennis Post asked Aryna about this cutout dress, which she also wore at the WTA Finals in red. And in the press conference after the finals of the WTA Finals, Sabalenka not only said that she had to push Nike to make this custom look happen, but that she would not be getting any other custom fits for 2026.
Can you talk about this beautiful cutout dress you've been wearing, and what can we expect for 2026 fashion on court with you?
Yeah, I mean, this dress was kind of like, let's say, together work, me and Nike. I just threw a bunch of ideas I had, and I was able to push them to give me, yeah, in a way, like my own dress. And I think it turned out being like really cool dress. People loved it, which is important. And yeah, unfortunately, next season, it just, it's not going to be that special for me, but... Exactly. Maybe we should just start messaging Nike Instagram and like putting some pressure on. But let's wait for 2027 because that year going to be sick.
This was an eye-opening revelation for me. Again, shout out to the Tennis Post for asking Aryna that question. But it's interesting to me that Aryna said that she had to push Nike so hard just to get that custom cutout look. And a few fans wondered before this whether Aryna truly wanted that custom special treatment. And I really peeped that she was unsatisfied with the situation when she liked a mutual of mine's, Eliza Wascoat's post that essentially called out Nike for not giving her any special treatment in regards to custom outfits. And on paper, you'd think that Aryna should be getting that custom treatment, that same custom treatment that Naomi receives. I mean, she has the same amount of slams now that Naomi does for a piece, and she has been more successful than Naomi, much more in the past few years. Plus, Aryna has a larger social following than Osaka, and she's one of the most interesting and polarizing figures in sports, period, right now. This is largely because of her big personality, and Aryna often shows her humor in both victory and defeat, and she just wears her heart on her sleeve, for better or worse. And she's been in the headlines this season alone multiple times, first for smashing her racket following her Australian Open loss to Madison Keys, and then of course that infamous Roland Garros press conference situation where she downplayed Coco Gauff's success, and she faced a lot of criticism for that. Ironically enough, at the start of this season, Aryna left IMG to join the Evolve Talent Agency, which is co-founded by Naomi Osaka herself. And Aryna left IMG because she apparently grew frustrated with how her potential deals were limited because of her Belarusian nationality. There's There's no secret that it's been harder for Russian and Belarusian athletes to gain and maintain lucrative brand deals since the 2022 invasion of Ukraine. I think that's a huge reason why Sabalenka considerably lacks in endorsement earnings in comparison to her contemporaries like Coco Gauff and Iga Swiatek. But nationality aside, this custom kit issue is larger than Sabalenka herself. Nike just simply does not care about tennis as much as they once did. In 2023, Eliza Wascott also wrote an article for Courts Club where she writes that Nike made an intentional decision to divest some of its resources away from the Nike court marketing division, and it shows. Back in the golden days of Nike, both Rafa and Roger had their own logos in addition to their specially curated kits, and Serena and Sharapova also had their own special kits for every slam. Now, Nike's two biggest stars are undoubtedly Carlos Alcaraz and Jannik Sinner, and they pay Alcaraz and Sinner pretty good, it seems like. Jannik reportedly has a 10-year, $150 million deal with them, and Alcaraz is set to earn about $15 to $20 million each year from Nike. However, the swoosh brand is not giving these two anywhere near the same special treatment as they did Rafa and Roger. Jannik does have a Fox logo, but they haven't really done a whole lot with it, and Carlos's logo has yet to be released. And both Alcaraz and Sinner are in the same boat as Aryna, really, when it comes to this whole custom kit conversation. Neither Carlos nor Jannik receive their own special designs. They get their own special colorways at the slams, but Carlos at the US Open wore the same exact tank top design as Holger Rune, just in a different color, while Jannik wore the same polo shirt and shorts as Shapovalov, but again in a different color, and the same thing happened at Roland Garros. Naomi Osaka is the only Nike tennis player, male or female, to consistently receive true custom fits, and that's a problem. And that is not a diss to Naomi. I think she still has a lot of appeal, especially with her being Japanese, and the Japanese market is just so huge. Just look at Kei Nishikori, who is consistently one of the top earners on the tour despite not winning a slam throughout his career, so gotta make that be known. But the question is, for me, should Sabalenka just leave Nike? Lots of players on the men's side especially have left the brand for smaller companies where they get more special treatment. Just think Jack Draper, Taylor Fritz, Lorenzo Musetti, Francis Tiafoe, they all left the swoosh brand within the last 2 years. Even Coco Gauff was a Nike athlete in her junior days, but she signed with New Balance in 2018 after they outbid the swoosh brand. That was entirely the right move for Gauff because New Balance treats Coco like the star she is. Not only does she receive custom fits, but she wore 19 different outfits this season alone, and she just played 18 tournaments. That is just unreal. And Coco, she also has her own shoe line with the launch of her CG1s in 2022, and the American became the only active tennis player to have their own signature shoe. And Nike, they never gave Roger, Maria, Rafa, or Serena their own signature shoe line. And this is important because things like a signature shoe or just fashion overall is huge for building a player's brand image and can help draw more eyes to not only the athlete themselves, but the sport overall. And tennis undeniably is the most fashionable sport. I don't know the details of Sabalenka's contract and when it's up for renewal, but it seems like she does prefer to stick with Nike. I mean, they are still the biggest brand in sports. And Aryna has gotten more love through commercials, some fan gear, and a Tiger logo or Tiger sticker, whatever that is. But is that enough for her? Does she want more? I don't know. We'll just have to wait and see if she continues to be a Nike athlete throughout her entire pro career. But while on the topic of Nike athletes, Carlos Alcaraz clinched the year-end world #1 ranking after earning a strong 6-4, 6-1 victory over Lorenzo Musetti on Thursday. Things were pretty neck and neck between the two for the first 9 games until Carlos got his opening and just took the opening set, breaking Musetti after Lorenzo had about 4 game points to bring it to 5-all. And Carlos admitted after the match that he felt the nerves because of the year world #1 being on the line, but I think after he took that opening set, he seemed to free up a lot more and played better. Meanwhile, I believe the mileage with Musetti took its toll as he was not able to keep up with Carlitos, who continued his phenomenal serving that he showed in the third set against Fritz in that second round robin match, as the Spaniard finished with 69% first serves in and winning 83% of points behind his first serve. This is Carlos' second time being the year-end world number one, as he held the honor in 2022, and he is the 11th player to have multiple year-end world number one finishes, and he's the first player born in the 2000s to do so, to have multiple year-end world number one finishes. Carlos currently stands at 11,650 points, which is out of reach for Jannik Sinner, whose max points haul would be 11,500 points. But speaking of the Italian, he officially finished undefeated in the group stage after claiming a 6-3, 7-6 win over Ben Shelton. I mean, this was a typical Sinner-Shelton match. Ben didn't start as well in the opening set. Jannik broke him twice, but then he was able to hold his own for the serve and send it into a tiebreak where, once again, Jannik was just the better player. He played the bigger points better in the end. Shelton, who went 0 for 3 in the finals, his first finals, he will fall down 4 spots to number 9 in the rankings when the new rankings come out on Monday. I mean, this was by far his best season of his career. It was his first time making the ATP final stage. So while it was probably not the finals debut he hoped for, still plenty to be proud of for the American. And we have to remember that 2022 was really his first season on tour. So to think that he's made these strides this quick, that's impressive. And while he still has plenty of stuff to work on, the future is very bright for the American for sure. Carlos, meanwhile, he will play this winner of Zverev and Felix Auger-Aliassime, and those two play later on today. Sinner, meanwhile, he will play against Alex de Minaur in the semifinals, and de Minaur, he pulled off an incredible 2-set win, defeating Taylor Fritz 7-6, 6-3, and that helped him secure his semifinal spot. And the odds were really against the Aussie. He had to win in straight sets against Taylor to even have a chance to qualify, and still Carlos had to beat Lorenzo for him to fully be into the semifinals. And Fritz, he really, in hindsight, only needed to win one set to qualify himself. And I had de Minaur reach the semifinals before the tournament, but I kind of reneged in my last video because I had Fritz winning in 3, not only because I thought the American had been playing better tennis throughout this tournament, but de Minaur notoriously had lost his last 16 matches against top 10 opposition, not including Laver Cup. But Taylor just had a considerable level drop off in this match. It was a really poor performance from the American. He had a slow, error-prone start to it, and he got broken first, but he later got things back on serve, and he had a strong opening to take control of the opener, going up love 30 when he was leading 4-3 on de Minaur's serve, although credit to Alex for serving well to help get himself out of trouble. But I think the more realistic opening for Fritz to take the opening set was at 5-4. And yes, de Minaur held at 15, but still, looking at this game, Taylor has some decent looks to make it more competitive and maybe create a set point. But he just missed really makeable returns and let de Minaur off the hook and didn't give himself a true chance in this game. And speaking of the return, I praised Fritz for how well he received in his matches against Musetti and against Alcaraz. But against de Minaur, Taylor won just 17% of his first serve return points. And putting that in context, he won 25% of his first serve return points against Alcaraz and 34% against Musetti. So that shows a considerable drop-off in return quality. And yes, de Minaur did serve pretty well at times against Fritz. He hit his spots well when he needed to. But again, Fritz was just off. And he mentioned that in his post-match press conference, how disappointed he was in his return level and how it was not up to par. Taylor's forehand was also very poor. He finished with 4 winners to 19 unforced errors off that wing alone. And Fritz said that de Minaur's flat, low ground strokes made it harder for him to attack off his forehand wing, especially if he wasn't feeling great on that side. But both the forehand and backhand really of Fritz were poor, and the tiebreaker especially. It's just too sloppy from him, and that continued in the second set where he got broken in his very first service game, and that was really all she wrote. Taylor's serve on that note was not great at all in this match. Against Carlos, he served at 75% first serves in, and against de Minaur, that number dropped to 59% first serves in. Now, I know I'm talking a lot about what Fritz did poorly, but de Minaur still deserves a lot of credit for things that he did well. Aside from him serving great, I think de Minaur outmaneuvered Fritz very well in this match. He did a great job of taking the ball early and cutting off the angles to put the American on the back foot, and Alex was also very smart, sometimes drawing Fritz forward not on his own terms. And we all know that Taylor is not as comfortable in the forecourt transitioning forward, simple as that. But I was most impressed, I'd say, maybe from de Minaur's mentality. He had just been dealt a tough loss in the second round robin match against Musetti, where he let go a 5-3 third set lead, and he said in his post-match press conference that he was in a dark place after that match. And plus, as I mentioned, he lost his last 16 matches against top 10 players, not including Laver Cup. So he was having true doubts of whether he was, I think, deserving of being in this stage at the ATP Finals. So I think that's just an impressive effort for him to put that behind him and now reach the knockout stage, the semifinals. And he's just the third man in ATP Finals history, actually, to reach the Final Four after winning just one round-robin match. Now, I am not sure if he'll go beyond that Final Four stage, as, of course, we know that he will play Jannik next, and he has a dismal 0-12 record against the world number 2, and he has lost to Jannik the 3 times that he's played Sinner this season. All 3 of those meetings were on hard court, and he just played him indoors in Vienna not too long ago as well. So yeah, I'm anticipating a 13-0 finish by the end of these finals for Jannik against de Minaur. But that's all I have for this ATP Finals recap video. Let me know your thoughts on the Nike situation with Sabalenka, and if you truly believe that she is being snubbed by the brand, as well as Alcaraz finishing year-end world number 1, and how you think the rest of the finals will shake up from this point forward. Again, make sure you subscribe and click the notification bell so you are notified whenever I post my semifinal recap video and championship preview video. Thank you all so much for watching and for your support, and I will see you all next time here on Christian's Court.